Good evening. Thank you all for being here. It's kind of chilly, but we're very happy that you could all join us tonight, and we appreciate very much the music of August Blues, our homegrown, very talented musicians. Yeah, they're really wonderful. I want to make sure that everybody has a candle. They're on the table over here. If you don't have one, just put your hand up or somebody might get you one. Also a bracelet that says Hudson Healing Together. We are incredibly happy that you're here with us tonight for the first Hudson Healing Together. It's a vigil in memory of those in our community we've lost to heroin and other drugs. We want to thank all the people who have worked with us on this event and encourage you to make sure that you stop by the tables and get the information that they have and find out the resources that they offer. This event is sponsored by the Hudson Community Foundation, a locally based nonprofit committed to having a positive impact on the Hudson area and to enhance the quality of life here. I'm Meg Heaton. I'm a foundation board member. It was last July when the foundation sponsored its first community forum on the scourge of heroin in our community, and more than 450 people turned out that night to learn about heroin addiction and the terrible consequences it can exact. That night we heard from two young men, both Hudson High School graduates, who described the nightmare of heroin addiction and the difficult ongoing road that is recovery. We heard from their parents who shared in the nightmare and struggled right alongside their kids. We heard from treatment professionals who talked about the insidious path of prescription painkillers to heroin and the difficulty of treating this addiction. And we heard from law enforcement who do what they can to hold those responsible for selling these drugs to account, but who say clearly this is not a problem we can arrest our way out of. And we heard from a mother who was grieving the loss of her 21-year-old daughter, who died of an overdose 1 year ago this month. But tonight is different. Tonight we gather to remember her and all the others in our community, named and unnamed, that we have lost to heroin and other drugs. I recently spoke with someone about heroin addiction, and she said that she understood that addiction is a disease, but she said drugs are different because people choose to use. There's some truth in what she said, but I've learned something very different over this past year. I am certain that none of the people we remember tonight could foresee what was going to happen to them as a result of that first or second or third time they tried heroin. And by all accounts, the drug already had its claws in them by that time. Many, if not all of them, tried desperately to recover from their addiction, going to treatment multiple times, only to relapse and ultimately lose the battle. But what I do believe is that if any of them could have foreseen they would end up paying with their lives, they would never have taken that first hit or that first pill, and they'd be with us tonight. But this evening is not about how they died or why they died. Tonight is about remembering the people they were apart from their addiction. Sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, students, athletes, artists, musicians, and friends who were above all loved and cherished. We will hear from some of those friends and family members tonight, and they will remember their loved ones in poetry and song, in prayer, and with light. Because while their loss is a terrible tragedy to the families and friends and our community as a whole, their lives were and always will be a blessing. Our first speaker tonight is Chris Miner of the St. Croix Valley Restorative Justice Project, who will speak about healing after the worst of all possible hurts. Chris?
I really have to thank the Hudson Community Foundation for pulling this together, to bring people together in community. I'm the director of a restorative justice program, and what we do in restorative justice is try to repair harm. Some hurts and harms are so deep and so permanent. But what we can do is we can help support people. We started a specific program called Restorative Response. And in Restorative Response, we help people who experience trauma that changes every fiber of their being. Traumatic loss that happens after a suicide, a homicide, drug overdose, traffic fatality, anything that's outside the life cycle that could have been prevented, it has complex grief and trauma. It impacts people on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Sometimes people experience disenfranchised grief, and that means it's outside of society. It promotes isolation, self-blame, guilt, and shame. But when we come together publicly in community, we can help people heal. Grieving, as people hold hands, shed tears, share hugs. Grieving together is the bridge between suffering and hope. It takes that grieving to relieve suffering. Healing does not happen in isolation. It doesn't happen when we're alone. It happens when we're part of community. One of the things that helps people heal is listening. And one of the things we do at Restorative Justice is we ask people to listen with the ears of their heart. So if you were to cup your ears, your hands over your ears to really hear me well, and you brought your hands together, it would shape a heart. Listening with the ears of your heart means to not have judgment for the other person, to allow whatever feeling that they have to be okay. Sometimes it means you sit silent, in silence, and just bear witness to the other person. If you rearrange the letters in the word listen, it makes the word silent. Grieving is a bridge between suffering and hope. Finding hope. Do we find it in a candle flicker? Do we find it in new flowers, newborn babies? Finding hope helps us heal. The doves remind me of hope. A dove will do its preening, taking care of its feathers, just like we have to cut our hair and our fingernails. A dove will preen when it feels safe. When we're emotionally safe with each other in community, that can help us heal. One of the things we do to build restorative justice community is when people share their story, at the end, they say, "Thank you for listening." And other people say, "Thank you for sharing." As our friends come up and they share about loved ones and they share stories, how the person lived, who they were, when they finish, I want to invite them to say, "Thank you for listening," and I want to invite all of you to say, "Thank you for sharing." That's a way of making community. A smile is the first stage of healing. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Coming together in community to help listen and to help share will help all of us heal. We need to do what we can for young people to reduce isolation, guilt, self-blame, and shame. We can hold each other in community through healing. So with that, I want to close by saying thank you for listening.
Thank you. As you'll note, we have these wonderful pictures of these people we're remembering tonight behind us, and we also have one for the people that are not named tonight, but they are with us in our thoughts and in our grief as well. Tonight we're very fortunate to have family members and friends to speak about each of these people that we have pictures of up here. We'd like to start tonight with beloved sister, Gretchen Gunderson, who will talk about her brothers, Greg and Jeff Knoll. Gretchen?
Good evening, and thank you all for attending. First of all, I hope I can make it through this. I want to thank the Hudson Community Foundation for putting on this wonderful event. And I also want to thank all of you for coming. We need to make this community aware of the growing problem. 6 years ago this month, I lost both my brothers. That was half my family. 3 months prior to losing my brothers, I lost my mother, and I was grateful that she had passed before she lost both of her sons. It would have killed her as well. I've watched my nephews suffer without their fathers, and not being there for all their firsts, their graduations, their marriage, possibly grandchildren, and the friendship that I lost in losing both of them. I want everybody here to spread the word so other people don't have to suffer the loss that we have all suffered. It's devastating, and it's hard to pick up the pieces when hopefully somewhere out there is a solution to this problem. I love and miss my brothers terribly, and I want to once again thank all of you for being here tonight. I think we all deserve this moment to share the memories and realize that there's a lot of love out there for the people that we have lost. Thank you for listening.
You did good. They'd be proud of you. They heard you. I hope so. Thank you, Gretchen. I know they heard you. One of the tragedies of the heroin problem in Hudson has been the loss of so many of our young people way, way, way too early. Ellie Berg was one of those people. She was a graduate of the Hudson High School class of 2010. Her mother, Judy, and her sister, Katie, are here to speak about the girl they love so much.
Good evening. I am Judy Berg. I am Ellie Berg's mother. Ellie lost her life to a heroin overdose on September 30th of last year. Now 7 months since Ellie left us, those that loved her so much still feel the pain of her loss every day. At this point, each breath doesn't feel like we're suffocating, and each step doesn't feel like our legs weigh 500 pounds, but our hearts still ache. It occurred to me a short time ago that the sadness that has become a part of my life may never get any easier, that what I feel now is my new normal. It truly is through the kindness and generosity of our family, our friends, our neighbors, and this community that we are comforted and find the strength when we need it the most. You continue to touch our hearts and provide comfort, and for that my family and I are very grateful. In the past 7 months, I've had many conversations with friends of Ellie's. So many have shared stories about how she reached out to them and supported their personal journey. So many have shared that Ellie made a positive difference in their lives and in their desire to overcome their addiction. Ellie had such a kind heart and a soul and held a special place in her heart for those that needed support, a true gift for such a young person. It did finally occur to me the other day that these very conversations that have been brought to me might be the sign I've been looking for from Elle. I truly believe she continues to provide support and encouragement from heaven to those that need her the most, and that the stories that come back to me are her way of showing me that she's doing what she was meant to do, but now from a place where she can make even greater impact than when she was with us. A mother's view for sure, but one that comforts me. Tonight I thought we'd share some of the stories that have reached us. Some are from those that miss her dearly and continue to fight their addiction. Others from those that love and miss her dearly and their view on the topic. My daughter Kate, Ellie's sister, is going to share those stories with us tonight. I'm proud of her for being willing to stand before you and speak, though her own heart has been broken too. Kate's our youngest child and the only one still living at home now that both of her older brothers have headed to college or joined the Navy. With that, she experienced the ups and downs of dealing with addiction from a sibling's point of view. I often see her put her broken heart aside to be there for her father and I when she sees our strength falter. The first story tonight was sent to us from our son, Mike, and I want to share a little background so what he wrote makes sense. Mike joined the Navy early last year in 2013. He's only 15 months younger than Ellie, and through their high school years, they shared a special bond. They watched out for each other, they shared a lot of common experiences, and I do suspect they probably partied together once in a while too. Mike has a very kind heart and had on occasion come to talk to me about what we could do to provide further support to Ellie beyond everything she was already doing to recover. After graduating basic training, he was able to come home for a week last September. My husband Greg and Mikey arranged an afternoon with Ellie. They planned to try out the shooting range in town, maybe go to a movie, maybe head to the casino. In his story that Kate will read to you, you'll hear him talk about what wonderful memories he has of that afternoon. 2 days later, we dropped Mike off at the airport to fly to San Diego, where he'd be stationed next. That evening, Greg and I had dinner with Ellie. That would be the last time we would see her. The following Monday night, the Hudson police showed up at our house to tell us Ellie had died of an overdose. Hours later, we called Mike to share the news. He was devastated, alone in a place he'd only been for 2 days. Kate, you want to share stories? Okay.
My name is Katie, and I'm a senior here in Hudson, and I have a few stories about my sister I would like to share with you. The first one is from my brother Mikey. Addiction to some is just another word, yet to so many means so much more. I never used to bat an eye at the headlines of how heroin struck so many communities. So close-minded, I never imagined it would tear me apart. I'll never forget that phone call that night and the haunting memories that I would have to face of the last goodbye I said to my sister. Every day, I think about that heart-wrenching call from my parents telling me Ellie's battle had ended. Addiction had suddenly become so much more than a word. I was very angry for a long time. All I wanted was justice, to find the culprit who had committed this crime against my beautiful sister. It took quite a while to face the reality of having to lose my sister. I feel the impact often, particularly when I hear people struggling and battling so hard, just like she did. I often relive these precious last hours I spent with her. If I only had known these would be our last hours together, what would I have said? Probably tell her that I was sorry for the times I hadn't loved her unconditionally. I was so grateful for the time we had together when I was home on leave. I never imagined this would be the last time I would see her beautiful smile. That afternoon was the happiest I had ever seen her. She's winning the battle, I told myself repeatedly. How could I know when I hugged her as she walked back into that sober house that it was so much more than goodbye? Ellie has changed so many people for the better. She sacrificed all her time for others. She convinced so many people that they, like herself, who were leading self-destructive lifestyles, and they could change to recover and find new meaning in their lives. Since her death, many have attributed Ellie for saving their lives. She's my reason for making it through all of my rough days. I'm sure the same for so many others. My final memories of Ellie will never leave me, and I will cherish them forever until we meet again. The next story is from a friend of Ellie. I am also a recovering addict, sober for 3 years, and will never understand how I survived the worst hell and am still here to talk about it. I met Ellie on one of the worst nights of my life when a mutual friend came by to check on me and brought Ellie with him. I was strong in my addiction at this point, addicted to whatever was in front of me. When they arrived, I was angry at the world, and for whatever reason, Ellie was very comforting and compassionate for not knowing me at all. At that time, Ellie worked at the nursing home, and the next day she came to see me after work and brought me Arby's. She was the kindest, sweetest soul, and that's what I needed at the worst time of my life, someone who cared. And that's just how she was. She didn't want anything from me. I've been sober now for 3 years, and her passing hit me very hard. I just don't understand why, after all these risks I took and didn't care about myself at all, why she had every chance and never got the chance to save her own life. I would like everyone to know the difference Ellie made in my life. I won't soon forget her kindness and compassion. The next one is from from a friend who posted on her Facebook. I've been sober for about 6 months. I started going to the gym and have nothing but good people surrounding me. You would be happy to see how much I've turned my life around. I still think about you every day. Some say it gets easier, but I don't see that. Miss you tons. And the last one is from a grade school friend. There are times when I think about how hard it is that you are gone. Why UL? How many people have to die before they realize this stuff isn't something to mess with? I think about how it doesn't feel really real to me that you are gone. You were always honest. You always looked out for the innocent and called people out on their shit. You were always so wise beyond your years and my most trustworthy friend. I wish you were still here because I need someone like you in my life again. The saying is true that you don't really know what you have until it's gone. When I think about you, I think that God brought you to heaven so you could help the rest of us learn to appreciate each other. I love you and I miss you more than anyone could ever understand. In closing, as hard as I find it to agree with my mom and believe that God may have taken Ellie to heaven so she could help even more people, I know she's with those when we need her the most. On behalf of my family, we are grateful for your support and being here tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate and Judy. Alex Solberg was a member of the class of 2009. He has an electric smile and a face that just lights up a room, can light up a park. Speaking on behalf of Alex and about Alex is his sister Tess.
Hi, I'm Tess Solberg. I'm a senior at Hudson High School, and I'm going to read a poem that I wrote about my brother. And just a precursor, my brother, has an amazing smile, and he's a hugger. We did church softball together, and so that was amazing memories. And then he also loved music, so he had this huge guitar amp and this tiny little car. And instead of getting like a bass like any other normal teenager, he just stuck the amp in the back seat. And so that's in here. All right, so I got an assignment in school last year to do an I Am Waiting poem. So here it goes. I am waiting for next summer to swing that bat and pitch a ball and laugh when I miss and get mad as I keep missing, and I am waiting to have a stupid fight to yell at each other until my voice, scratched and raw, gives out. And I am waiting to hug it out like always. Sorry. And I am waiting to go for a drive with your subs in the back, shaking the car with the rhythmic bass while driving down a country road. And I am waiting for graduation, for you to be in the bleachers and in every picture, like you should be. And I am waiting for my first day of college, for you to drive me to campus and unload the car, to hug me goodbye until I come back for Christmas. And I am waiting to get engaged, for you to warn my future husband that he cannot hurt me. And I am waiting for my wedding, for you to stand to give your speech, to dance with me in the middle of the floor, to hug me and cry. I am waiting for you to hold my first child, to be their best and only uncle, to grow old in each other's lives. And I am waiting for all of these memories to happen. They've been taken away from me. And I am waiting to see your face again and to see you smile. And I am waiting for a big brotherly hug welcoming me into the house of God, to hold my hand as I pass through his gate. And I am waiting to find salvation, to spend my eternity with God and with you. And I am forever waiting in this lifetime to see my brother again. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
I can feel the bass, Katie. Next, we're going to remember Jacob Young. Jacob was a member of the class of 2007. He graduated with my children. Jacob's mother, Tamara, has written a poem for him, and she has asked Phil Drewiski, who is himself in recovery, to read it for her. Phil?
How's everyone doing? You all look so warm out here. Wow. I just wanted to say real quick, I'm privileged enough to be able to read this poem for Mr. Young, but to also to meet his mother and be a part of this with her, and I'm very thankful for it. So this is in memory of Jacob. May your spirit soar in freedom from the fears that grip so tight. May you find the peace you searched for as you wandered lost in the night. May your tortured mind be clear and calm, and your tendered heart be warm. May you have never need for strength now. May there never be another storm. May the music of the angels be the sweet sound that you hear. As you are rocked in heaven's cradle, may you never shed another tear. I'll wear your memory proudly, my treasured son. May my love for you reach heaven above until we meet again. Love, Mom. What was that?
That's Jacob, one of the last pictures that was taken of him out at Willow River at the falls with his mom. He often went there with his mom. Another member of the class of 2007 was Tyler Hole. And we lost Tyler, like all of these other young people, too soon. Speaking on behalf of their brother are Rob and Brian. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. Many of Ty's friends comment that he was like a brother to them on his Remembering Ty-Ho Facebook page. They said things like, love you like my brother Ty, you're my brother Ty, miss you bro. Ty was blessed with many friends throughout his life. We were with him for his whole life and truly are his older brothers, Brian and Rob Hole. From the moment Ty was born, he was a member of our whole boys team and was one of the guys. Even as a preschooler, he was good at hanging out and taking part in everything we did. We did a lot together at home and moved from having Ty near us while we played with different things to tolerating his obsession for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to emulating pro wrestling moves on each other. Ty was always a master of fitting in. As the youngest brother, he grew up traveling with the family to hockey arenas, football games, soccer games, and band concerts, track meets, baseball games, and other events. He didn't need the spotlight on him. He just liked being a part of whatever was going on.
Ty left us with snapshots of his life. We wish so much that we had more time with him and more snapshots of the things that were ahead of him. He lived his life with enthusiasm from the very beginning. He was the little white blonde boy with big blue eyes when he entered kindergarten. He earned 2 weeks on the no chocolate milk list a couple months later for standing on the table when his teacher was out in the hall and proclaiming, "Party time!" The love of being with other young people and the love of party time seemed to be a part of him always. We have family snapshots of birthdays spent on spring break and lots of vacation spots. Snapshots of family camping trips, Christmas and Easter celebrations. Snapshots of him in front of the fireplace at the beginning of every school year holding up a sign saying what grade he was in. We have snapshots of Ty that were featured in the Hudson Star Observer wearing his Halloween money tree costume, pictures of him playing football, youth basketball, and baseball, pictures of him when he was a prom prince, and pictures from Bethel youth trips to Montana and Texas. Lots of snapshots have surfaced of Ty with Mike, Reese, Tom, Marty, Megan, Kaylee, Jeff, Adam, Nate. The list goes on and on. They are all enjoying life, a lot of times at our house when Mom and Dad weren't home. He told Mom to worry if she came home and found the house really clean, because it probably meant something had gone on that had required a lot of cleaning. He jumped into most situations in life with quiet enthusiasm, especially when it came to making friends. Sometimes that enthusiasm resulted in jumping into the lake with his cell phone in his pocket and glasses on his face, but he found ways to fix those things. He always had a talent for reading people and knowing how to make people feel better and have fun. He knew that people were what was important. He loved to be surrounded by people, his friends, his brothers, his family. He felt great indignation and a deep sense of wrong when someone he cared about was getting a bad deal. He had his friends back. He had his friends' back and would go to the extra mile to help out someone who needed him, literally saving his friends' lives in a couple of situations. Even though we didn't have a chance to say any meaningful final words, Ty, you knew how much you were loved, and we knew how much you loved us, all of us. That part was easy. Your friends miss you, Ty, and so do we all. As Ty's oldest brother, I was often the one left in charge. And often this ended up as all three of us laying around with every blanket in the house pulled out and watching a Disney movie while we waited, Rob and I, for Tyler to finally fall asleep. Ty was always up for doing whatever Rob and I were doing, and almost always with a smile on his face. Video games, disc golf, board games, Magic the Gathering, baseball, UFC, just hanging out, talking about things. I'll never forget when I realized that he wasn't a little kid anymore and didn't need any sort of special treatment or consideration and was just as good as pretty much everything that I did, including video games, which was not a welcome surprise. Even though he was younger than me, he became the perfect, mostly willing partner in everything we did. Ty knew how to make everything a little bit more fun than it was before. I left home for college when Ty was 9, and I worried that because we were in such different parts of our lives, that I was missing out on getting to know the real Tyler. My fears were unfounded, though, because he was so genuine in everything he did. He was always the most comfortable person to be with. Ty's talents were apparent to the people around him. He had a quick humor and enjoyed turning a phrase or making a joke just to get people to laugh. He was a happy young man. He smiled all the time. People laughed when they were with Ty. He made using little phrases like, "Oh, sweet," or "definitely," a kind of inside joke because he used them so frequently. He knew how to make people like him. I didn't realize until after Ty had died that he was so proud of me as a brother. I hope he knew just how much I loved him, because I didn't get a chance to directly tell him in as many words. I think, given how well he could read people, that he knew.
The verses and passages Ty marked in his Bible tell us that he was trying hard to recover from his addiction and was looking for verses that had to do with God rescuing him. He didn't deserve this abrupt end to his potential and his hopes and dreams. He wanted all the normal things that bring so much joy, love, a career, his own family. He was absolutely sure that this wouldn't happen to him. He got in too deep and activated a set of circumstances that brought him great misery. He knew he was in trouble and sought help. He jumped into his recovery groups at the same way that he enjoyed being a part of all of the other groups he's been in his life. He should have had more time to fight his battle, and to try and fix it. He kept his plan and struggle as private as he could, usually telling people that he was doing great, even when he wasn't. In most of the snapshots of me and Ty growing up, I'm the middle brother who has my hand on Ty's neck. We were always close and shared a lot of interests. He shared more with me about how things really were and some of his worst worries and fears. He worked so hard to get out of the influence of his addiction. He did his best. This kind of addiction is unforgiving. Any slip can result in absolute tragedy. We wish so much that this was different and that Ty was here with us tonight. He'd be feeling the loss of so many good people and would be first in line to try and provide some comfort. We know there is life after death and that Ty is still with us. We couldn't get enough time with you, Ty, but the time we had was sweet, and we treasure every memory and moment we had, definitely. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. I'm thinking Ty's somewhere now where he's getting all the chocolate milk he wants. Our next young woman that we're going to remember is Alyssa Ivy. Alyssa was a member of the Hudson class of 2010, and she's going to be remembered by her good friend Erica, with her friend Livy by her side. Erica? Got to give Erica a lot of credit. She's from Texas, and this has got to feel bad.
Hello, my name is Erica, and I am Alyssa Ivy's best friend from her hometown, Plano, Texas. And in her honor, I flew in to share my memories of the beautiful person that I've known since childhood. Alyssa and I met when we were in elementary. We were about 8 or 9 years old. We immediately became the best of friends. We literally spent every day together, causing some kind of trouble. We were inseparable. No matter what happened or happens, we always found a way back into our lives. As I was starting a new journey of expecting my firstborn, Alyssa was also starting a new journey in a new state, new city. My journey of a new mom started in summer of 2007. She moved away shortly to Hudson, Wisconsin, and of course the inevitable would happen. Life happened. We were miles away from each other, living different lives. We would never grow apart though. We always found a way to communicate no matter what. Needless to say, I am here to remember Alyssa as those here who know her and remember her. There is absolutely nothing but good words to say about her. She had a heart of gold. She was warm and humble, always looking out for others, more than herself. She could instantly light up a room with her good attitude and amazing personality. She was one to steal the attention and have the spotlight on her and have a room full of people having so much fun. Her smile, needless to say, the most infectious smile anyone has ever seen. As you guys called it, her Texas smile. And you're right. It was big, beautiful, bold, bright, and contagious. A smile just as big as Texas. It could light up Wisconsin all the way to Texas. Not to mention that unforgettable laugh. Man, her laugh, it was also so contagious. It could have you laughing with her, not even knowing why, but just because you couldn't help laughing with her. She was also so talented, so smart, such a hard worker. I remember her telling me about Herbert's and Gerbert's. She asked me, "You've been to Subway, right?" I told her, "Of course, I've been to Subway, Alyssa." She said to me, "Well, Herbert's and Gerbert's is like Subway, but 100 times better. Just way better." Finding employment for Alyssa was definitely not an issue because of her larger-than-life personality. Not only did she work at Herbert's and Gerbert's, but she also held a job at Mr. Movies and shortly after at Walmart as well. Not only was she motivated, but she was also always on the go, so energetic. Her unique personality, her extraordinary sense of humor. One thing that took her a while to realize was that she was strong, a fighter at heart, always strived for greatness, for happiness. She was a friend to anyone who needed a friend. She could easily befriend anyone that she met. She was passionate and driven. For what life had put her through, she became an amazing yet light-hearted and forgiving person. She protected those who needed protecting. She was sassy, spirited, beautiful, smart, talented, artistic. Man, she was really artistic. I am honored not only to call her my best friend, but to also have her as my daughter's godmother. I am also honored to have named my youngest daughter after Alyssa. Her full name, Delilah Alyssa, which I made sure to spell it exactly as Alyssa's was spelled. She made sure I did too. I have been blessed to have her in my life and have memories of her, as well as you all have had the honor and chance to know and meet our beautiful Yellow Rose of Texas. She will never be forgotten. She will always remain with us. Sadly but happily, and ironically, that on this same day, a year ago, I had the chance to talk to her. And what she said was, when you look up at the stars, remember that I too am looking at the same stars. And I'm going to say something a little bit in Spanish, because she would have loved it. Cuando alguien que tú quieres mucho se convierte en una memoria, la memoria se convierte en un tesoro. When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Thank you for listening.
She heard you. I want to thank all of the speakers tonight, brothers and sisters, friends, so many people. And we do have a sign up here for the anonymous people that we know there are in our community that we've lost, and we know they have loved ones out there who are feeling the same things that have been articulated here tonight. We would like to remind you at this point, if you don't have a candle, to please go over and get one or ask for one, and to please turn them on while we listen to another song from August Blues. So if you have a candle or need one, please go over and get one.
David played and he played Maybe this got above, but all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot at someone who won't shoot you. It's not a cry you can hear at night. It's not somebody you see the light. It's cold and it's broken. Hallelujah.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like Dr. Dan Brook to join us to lead us in a prayer and a remembrance. Thank you, Dr. Brook.
Thank you.
And so we take these moments now to bow our heads in humility and yet a living hope before our Creator. And so we pray. God of mercy and God of love, you have created us, and we trust in your name, even as we call for your help day and night. We have many fears and much anguish, and deep in our souls we often cry because of a life lost due to drug or alcohol addiction. And we sometimes long again for the opportunity to embrace a loved one and to tell that loved one how much we really do love and care, even though he or she may be unable to understand it. Some of our hearts are broken by those whom we have lost to drug or alcohol addiction. So help us, God of mercy, to understand and know that no one does this without great coercing pain and inner suffering that seems to have no end, even though we fervently wish that such loved ones knew that no agony is forever. So, God of compassion, help us to cry out loud, to hold each other gently, to live with unanswerable questions and normal feelings of anger and guilt and a gaping hole of loss. And help us to reach out to others who are suffering, to show them our love, to say the kind word, and to courageously acknowledge that this is not a choice we condone or behavior worth imitating, even as we remain always ready to listen and learn and help, and even to confess how difficult it is to see the divine image in the lives of those who suffer. So, merciful God, accept this evening our prayers on behalf of the children and teenagers and adults of this community and this state and this world who are addicted to drugs and alcohol. Hear the cries of parents who are afraid for their children. Awaken the hearts of the parents who are unconcerned for their offspring's welfare. And empower each of us and every community to act in a manner that helps us to prevent the spread of the use of chemical substances, that the children of this world may receive the inheritance you desire for each of them, life abundantly. So together we lift our hearts up to you, God of eternal peace, and to each other. It is now only through the gift of memory that we have amongst us Greg and Jeff and Ellie and Alex and Jacob and Tyler and Alyssa. May we miss them deeply, forgive them often, and always claim the very best of each of them in us. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like the families and friends who are lighting a lantern in memory of their loved ones to come down to the front at this time, and we'll light the lanterns.
While we're getting the lanterns going, I just want to thank everyone on behalf of the Hudson Community Foundation for being here with us tonight. When we started this endeavor a year ago, our goal was to urgently inform the community what was happening to our friends and neighbors and children. And the response to the forum last summer was amazing, but it was never meant to be a standalone effort. We need to keep the memories alive and work towards preventing any additional losses in the future. Please watch for details for our forum this summer so we can keep working together as a community. And when I look at these lights that we're holding and we see the lights that shine, I see them shining as a promise that we'll never forget the tremendous loss that we have sustained in Hudson. And every light that shines tonight shines with the hope that we'll never have a heartache this large again in our community. And these lights that shine, they shine with the knowledge that these families are truly our families, and only by working together can we heal Hudson. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Sitting on the bed, just
I think this is the kids maybe having their way with us here tonight. Did it really? Well, you know. Whatever. We want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and the thought is what counts, right? Right? I've never been accused of not having a lot of hot air here, but we're just going to have to make do with this. We want to thank everybody for coming tonight. One of the things I do want to mention is on behalf of the foundation how impressed or how pleased we are that you are all here. I want to especially acknowledge Tricia Christensen, the president of the foundation. Her leadership and her creativity and her commitment to our community has led to events like this, the forums, and much, much more. And then especially, as we're getting ready tonight, we want to say a special thank you to the family and friends who have shared their grief journey with us tonight. It is our hope that through Hudson Healing Together, they will know that we as a community are on that journey with them. So thank you all for being here, thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing. Good night. Whoa! We're leaving on a laugh, guys. Leaving on a laugh. Thank you so much also to August Blues. Very, very much.